Every morning, before your feet hit the floor, you're already facing a decision. Are you going to let the world control your day, or are you going to take control? What if I told you the way you talk to yourself in those first few minutes could set the tone for everything? Let me show you how to reprogram your mornings and your mindset. But most of us wake up and immediately feel the pull of life. Emails, notifications, that long list of things to do. But here's the truth. The world doesn't care if you're overwhelmed. It will keep coming at you. What you can control is how you respond. And that starts with the conversations you have with yourself. In this video, we're diving into 9 things you should tell yourself every morning to build resilience, stay focused, and live with purpose. Trust me, these aren't just words. They're habits that can change your life. Here's the challenge. Too many of us let the outside world dictate how we feel. A bad headline on the news ruins your mood. A snarky comment from someone throws you off balance. The result? You're reactive, constantly chasing after your day instead of leading it. The key to breaking free is simple but powerful. Train your inner voice to be your guide. What you say to yourself in the morning is like laying the foundation for a house. It determines everything that follows. So let's start building the right way. 1. Today is a gift, and I'll treat it like one. Let's talk about something so simple yet so overlooked. Today. The moment you opened your eyes this morning, you were given a gift. And not just any gift, but one that countless people would give everything they have to experience. Think about it. No matter how tough yesterday was or how uncertain tomorrow feels, today is here. It's a blank slate, full of possibility. The question is, how are you going to treat it? Most of us take our days for granted. We get out of bed, and before our feet even touch the ground, we're already thinking about what we don't have, what's stressing us out, or how long the to-do list is. But here's the truth. Every day you're alive is an opportunity, not a burden, not something to rush through or just get through. It's a chance, and it's up to you to decide whether you'll embrace it or waste it. Why do we forget this? Because life gets busy. It's easy to let the routine take over. You wake up, you go to work, you run errands, you check your phone 100 times, and before you know it, the day's gone. But what if I told you that the way you treat today determines the quality of your life? If you treat today as a gift, it can change everything. Let's put it this way. Imagine someone handed you an expensive watch. It's beautiful, intricate, one of a kind. Would you toss it in a drawer and forget about it? Of course not. You'd handle it with care. You'd make sure it's clean, safe, and working properly. Why? Because it's valuable. Now here's the question. Why don't we treat our days the same way? Each day is priceless. Once it's gone, you can't get it back. No amount of money can buy you more time. That's why the first step to treating today like a gift is realizing how rare and valuable it is. You don't have to do anything extraordinary to make today meaningful, but you do have to be intentional about how you live it. Here's a mindset shift that can help. Start with gratitude. Gratitude is the simplest, most powerful way to remind yourself of life's value. When you wake up, instead of reaching for your phone or diving into your worries, take a moment. Think about what you have. Maybe it's your health, maybe it's your family, maybe it's the roof over your head or the food in your fridge. Even if you feel like your life isn't where you want it to be, there's always something to be thankful for. Gratitude turns just another day into a blessing. But gratitude is just the start. Once you've set that tone, you have to act on it. Treating today like a gift means showing up for it. It means being present. Too many of us spend our time dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. But here's the problem. The past is done. The future isn't here yet. All you have is today. And the more you focus on the moment you're in, the more you'll get out of it. Being present doesn't mean you ignore your responsibilities or stop planning ahead. It just means you don't let the weight of what's behind or ahead of you steal the joy of right now. When you're with someone you care about, be with them. Put the phone down. Listen to what they're saying. When you're working on something, focus on it. Give it your best. Don't rush through it just to check it off a list. Another way to treat today like a gift is to use it wisely. Time is like currency. You spend it whether you want to or not. The question is, are you spending it on things that matter? It's easy to fall into the trap of busyness. We fill our days with distractions, scrolling through social media, watching random videos, saying yes to things we don't care about, because it feels easier than focusing on what's really important. But at the end of the day, what do we have to show for it? If today is a gift, then it deserves your attention and effort. Ask yourself, What do I want to accomplish today? Not just in terms of work, but in life. What relationships do I want to nurture? What goals am I working toward? What kind of person do I want to be? When you have a clear sense of purpose, it's easier to make decisions that align with it. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter and start investing in what does. Now, let's be honest, some days are harder than others. Treating today like a gift doesn't mean every day will feel amazing. There will be challenges, setbacks, and moments where you feel like giving up. But even on those days, you have a choice. You can let the difficulties define you, or you can see them as part of the process. The tough moments are just as much a part of the gift as the good ones, because they teach you, strengthen you, and prepare you for what's ahead. One more thing, treating today like a gift also means taking care of yourself. You can't fully appreciate life if you're running on empty. So make time to rest, eat well, move your body, do things that bring you joy. When you take care of yourself, you're in a better position to give your best to the world. So as you go through your day, ask yourself, am I treating today like the gift it is? Am I showing up for it? Am I spending my time on things that matter? Am I grateful for what I have, even if it's not perfect? Life is short, but it's also full of possibilities. Every morning, you get the chance to start fresh, to learn, to grow, to connect. Don't let that opportunity slip away. Today is a gift. Don't waste it. You control my thoughts, my actions, and my attitude. Here's a hard truth. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control things they simply can't. They stress over what other people think of them. They get angry about things they can't change, like the weather or traffic. They waste time and energy trying to manipulate situations that are completely out of their hands. But what if I told you there's a better way to live? The secret is this: focus on what you can control. And here's the good news. You already have full control over the most important things: your thoughts, your actions, and your attitude. Let's start with your thoughts. The way you think shapes your entire experience of life. It's like the lens through which you see the world. If your thoughts are negative, your world will feel heavy, stressful, and full of obstacles. But if your thoughts are positive and focused, your world will feel lighter, more manageable, and full of opportunities. Here's the thing about thoughts. They don't just happen to you, you choose them. You decide what to focus on and how to interpret what's happening around you. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, you have a choice. You can get angry, honk your horn, and let it ruin your mood. Or you can shrug it off and think, maybe they're having a rough day. Same situation, two completely different reactions. And it all comes down to the thoughts you choose. Now, controlling your thoughts doesn't mean ignoring reality. If something bad happens, it's okay to acknowledge it. But instead of dwelling on it, ask yourself, what's the next best step I can take? How can I turn this around? When you train yourself to think this way, you stop feeling like a victim of your circumstances and start feeling like the creator of your life. Next, let's talk about actions. This is where the real power lies. Your thoughts may shape your mindset, but your actions are what create results. Here's the key. No one else can act for you. No one else can make you get out of bed, go to work, or chase after your goals. It's up to you. Think of it this way. Every action you take is like planting a seed. If you plant good seeds, like working hard, staying consistent, and making healthy choices, you'll eventually reap a good harvest. But if you plant bad seeds, like procrastinating, complaining, or giving up, you can't expect great results. The harvest always reflects the seeds. It doesn't. Finally, let's talk about attitude. This is your secret weapon. Life will throw challenges at you. That's a guarantee. But your attitude determines whether those challenges break you or make you stronger. A good attitude doesn't mean pretending everything's fine when it's not. It means choosing to stay optimistic even when things are tough. It means looking for solutions instead of getting stuck in problems. Your thoughts, your actions, your attitude, they're all connected. When you take control of these three things, you take control of your life. So every morning, remind yourself, I control my thoughts, my actions, and my attitude, because when you control these, nothing can control you. Thank you. It's my pleasure. My time and energy are my most valuable resources. Let's start with this simple truth. Your time and energy are not infinite. You only get so much of them in a single day, and once they're gone, they're gone. The scary part? Most people don't even realize how much they waste. They pour their time into things that don't matter, and they give their energy to situations, habits, and people that don't serve them. Then they wonder why they feel stuck, exhausted, or unfulfilled. Here's the reality. If you don't protect your time and energy, no one else will. Other people will ask for it, situations will demand it, distractions will steal it. But you have to be the one to say, this is mine, and I'm not giving it away carelessly. Why? Because these are your most valuable resources. Time and energy are more important than money, more important than talent, and more important than almost anything else. They are the foundation for everything you want to achieve. Think about it. You could have all the money in the world, but if you're constantly exhausted or spending your days on meaningless tasks, what good is that wealth? Or imagine you're incredibly talented, but you waste all your time procrastinating or chasing distractions. Your talent goes unused. Time and energy are the fuel that make everything else in your life possible. So how do you start treating them like the treasures they are? It begins with awareness. Most of us don't even realize how much of our time and energy is slipping away. We let it go little by little. 5 minutes scrolling through social media here, an hour gossiping about something unimportant there, half a day stressing over a problem that's out of our control. And before we know it, the day's gone. Here's a hard question to ask yourself. What am I giving my time and energy to right now? Are those things helping me grow? Are they aligned with my goals, my values, and the life I want to create? Or are they just draining me, keeping me busy without making me better? The truth is, not everything or everyone deserves your time and energy. That might sound harsh, but is necessary. You have to prioritize. You have to be selective. Imagine you only had 24 hours in your bank account, and once it's spent, you don't get more until the next day. That's what your hours are like. Would you spend that $24 on meaningless things? Or would you invest it in what matters most? Prioritizing doesn't mean you ignore your responsibilities or cut people out of your life, but it does mean setting boundaries. If something isn't adding value to your life, why are you letting it take up space? For example, maybe you spend too much time worrying about what other people think of you. Let me tell you something. Worrying about other people's opinions is one of the biggest wastes of time there is. You can't control what they think, and most of the time, they're not even thinking about you as much as you believe.
What?
Yeah. The same goes for energy. How many times have you gotten worked up over something trivial? Maybe someone cut you off in traffic, or a coworker made a rude comment. You spend the whole day replaying it in your head, getting angrier and angrier. But here's the thing. By holding on to that anger, you're giving away your energy for free. And for what? One of the best ways to protect your time and energy is by learning to let go. Let go of what you can't control. Let go of grudges, drama, and anything else that drags you down. Life is too short to spend it carrying unnecessary baggage. Another way to safeguard your resources is by being intentional with your day. Start each morning by asking yourself, what are the most important things I need to accomplish today? Not 10 things, not 20, just 2 or 3 that really matter. Focus on those first. When you're intentional with your time, you'll be amazed at how much more productive and fulfilled you feel. But being intentional isn't just about doing more, it's also about resting more. Rest is not a waste of time, it's an investment. If you don't take care of yourself, you won't have the energy to do anything well. So make rest a priority. Get enough sleep, take breaks, and don't feel guilty about saying no to things that overextend you. Let me give you one final thought about time and energy. They're the foundation for how you build your life. If you spend them wisely, you can create something extraordinary. If you waste them, you'll look back and wonder where they went. So every morning, remind yourself, my time and energy are my most valuable resources. Guard them fiercely and use them wisely. 4, I will focus on what I can give, not just what I can get. Here's something most people don't realize. The happiest, most fulfilled people in the world aren't the ones who constantly chase after what they can get. They're the ones who focus on what they can give. It sounds simple, but it's life-changing. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say, I just want to be happy, but then they spend all their time trying to take. They try to take recognition, take wealth, take attention, take shortcuts. And what happens? Even if they get what they want, it's never enough. They're still chasing. Now compare that to someone who wakes up every morning and asks, what can I give today? These people live differently. They're not just trying to accumulate things, they're trying to add value to the world. And the funny thing is, the more they give, the more they receive. Why does this work? Because giving shifts your mindset. When you focus on what you can give, you stop being so consumed by your own problems and desires. You start seeing the bigger picture. You start realizing that true success isn't about how much you have, it's about how much you contribute. Now let me be clear, giving doesn't mean you have to give away all your money or time. It doesn't mean you have to sacrifice yourself to help others. Giving can be simple. It can be as small as a kind word, a thoughtful gesture, or simply being present for someone who needs you.
That was the real one-liner. You need help.
For example, maybe you're at work and a coworker seems stressed. Instead of focusing on your own tasks, take a moment to ask if they're okay, or if there's anything you can do to help. That small act of kindness can make a big difference, not just for them, but for you. Or think about your family and friends. When was the last time you went out of your way to show them you care? Maybe it's sending a quick text to check in, cooking dinner for them, or just listening when they need to talk. These things might seem small, but they have a ripple effect. Giving also applies to your work and goals. Instead of asking, what can I get out of this? Ask, how can I add value? If you're running a business, focus on how you can serve your customers better. If you're pursuing a career, think about how you can help your team or organization succeed. When you approach your work with a mindset of service, success often follows naturally. Here's another secret about giving. It creates abundance. When you give freely, without expecting anything in return, you create a mindset of abundance. You stop worrying about what you lack because you realize there's always enough to go around. And ironically, when you stop chasing after things, they often come to you. Of course, this doesn't mean you should ignore your own needs or let people take advantage of you. Giving works best when it comes from a place of strength and balance. Take care of yourself first so you can give from a place of fullness, not emptiness. Every morning, ask yourself, how can I add value today? Maybe it's helping someone, sharing knowledge, or just showing up as your best self. What you give always finds a way of coming back to you, often in ways you don't expect. So instead of focusing on what you can get, focus on what you can give. It's a small shift, but it can change your entire life. 5. Failure is feedback, not defeat. Let me ask you this. How do you feel about failure? Most people are terrified of it. The moment they fail, they feel ashamed, defeated, or even humiliated. They see failure as a brick wall, an endpoint, something to avoid at all costs. But let me tell you a secret. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. Think about anyone you admire, anyone you consider successful. They didn't just wake up one day with all the answers. They tried, they failed, they learned, then they tried again. It's a process, and failure is a key ingredient in that process. In fact, failure is just feedback. It's life's way of saying, that didn't work, but here's what you can do better. Here's the thing, when you shift your perspective and see failure as feedback, it changes everything. Instead of being something to fear, failure becomes an opportunity, a chance to grow, to refine your approach to become better. That's why every morning you need to remind yourself, failure is feedback, not defeat. Let me give you an example. Picture someone learning to ride a bike. When they fall off, they don't give up and say, well, I guess biking isn't for me. No, they get up, brush themselves off, and figure out what went wrong. Maybe they leaned too far to one side, or they weren't pedaling fast enough to keep their balance. Whatever the case, they learn from that fall and try again. That's feedback in action. Now apply that same logic to your own life. Maybe you started a new business and it didn't take off the way you hoped. Instead of seeing it as a failure, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Did I target the wrong audience? Did I need a better marketing strategy? Did I give up too soon? Every misstep is a chance to gather valuable data for your next move. Failure is also an incredible teacher. It teaches you resilience. It forces you to dig deep and find strength you didn't know you had. It keeps you humble and reminds you that you don't have all the answers. And most importantly, it teaches you to keep going, even when things get tough. But here's the catch. To learn from failure, you have to face it. You have to take risks, step outside your comfort zone, and try things that might not work. And yes, that's scary, but let me tell you something. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. If you want to achieve great things, you have to be willing to fail along the way. For better or for worse, there will always be a period of time where you will face success and you must learn the hard way. Here's another way to think about it. Failure is like a map. Every time you fail, it's like a red X on that map saying, not this way. But it also means you're one step closer to finding the right path. The only way to truly fail is to stop trying. One of the biggest reasons people fear failure is because they're worried about what others will think. They don't want to look foolish or be judged. But let me tell you something, most people are too busy worrying about their own lives to pay much attention to yours. And the ones who do judge you for failing, they're usually the ones who aren't taking any risks themselves. So why let their opinions hold you back? Another thing to remember is that failure is temporary. It's a moment, not a lifetime. Just because you failed at something doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you're human. The key is to not get stuck in that moment. Feel the disappointment, learn the lesson, and then move forward. And let's not forget, some of the greatest successes in history came from failure. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about it, he said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." Imagine if he had given up after the first few attempts. He said, imagine if he had sat down instead of taking the plunge and threw himself in the ring and trained his eyes to the glass. So every morning, tell yourself, failure is feedback, not defeat. Embrace it, learn from it, and use it as fuel to keep going. Because the truth is, the only way to avoid failure is to do nothing. And doing nothing is the biggest failure of all. 6, I will not compare my journey to anyone else's. 4, let's talk about comparison. It's something we all do, whether we realize it or not. You see someone on social media with the perfect life, beautiful vacations, a dream job, a flawless family, and you start to wonder, why isn't my life like that? Or maybe it's someone at work who always seems to get the promotions or the recognition, and you can't help but feel like you're falling behind. But here's the truth. Comparison is a thief. It steals your joy, your confidence, and your focus. When you spend your time comparing yourself to others, you lose sight of your own journey. You forget that your path is unique and that someone else's success doesn't take away from yours. Let me ask you this. If you were running a race, would you spend the whole time looking at the people in the lanes next to you? Of course not. You'd focus on your own lane, your own pace, and your own finish line. Because the moment you start looking around, you slow down. That's what comparison does. It distracts you from your own progress. One of the biggest culprits of comparison today is social media. It's a highlight reel of other people's lives, showing only the best moments, the victories, the celebrations. What you don't see are the struggles, the setbacks, and the behind-the-scenes effort that went into those moments. So every time you catch yourself comparing, remind yourself you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. Another thing to remember is that everyone's journey is different. We all start in different places with different resources, opportunities, and challenges. So why would you compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20? It's like comparing apples to oranges. It just doesn't make sense. Think about this. If you're too busy looking at someone else's life, you're not appreciating your own. And that's a tragedy because your journey is special. It's filled with lessons, experiences, and growth that are unique to you. When you focus on your own path, you start to see how far you've come and how much you've achieved. Now, let's talk about mindset. Comparison often comes from a scarcity mindset. The belief that there's only so much success, happiness, or love to go around. But that's not true. Life isn't a zero-sum game. Someone else's success doesn't take away from yours. In fact, their success can be proof that it's possible. Instead of feeling envious, use it as inspiration. Here's another thought. What if the only person you compared yourself to was the person you were yesterday? Every day ask yourself, am I growing? Am I improving? Am I closer to my goals than I was yesterday? That's the only comparison that matters. It's also important to practice gratitude. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, you start to see how blessed you really are. Gratitude shifts your perspective from I'm not enough to I have enough. And when you feel like you have enough, you stop comparing yourself to others. So every morning, remind yourself, I will not compare my journey to anyone else's. Focus on your own path, your own progress, and your own potential. Because at the end of the day, the only race you're running is your own. 7, Challenges are opportunities in disguise. Let's get one thing straight. Life is going to test you. That's not a maybe, that's a certainty. You will face obstacles, setbacks, and moments where it feels like everything is working against you. But here's the thing. The way you choose to see those challenges can change everything. Some people see challenges as roadblocks, things that stop them in their tracks. But what if you could shift your mindset? What if, instead of seeing challenges as problems, you saw them as opportunities in disguise? Because that's exactly what they are. Stepping stones on the path to becoming stronger, smarter, and more resilient. Let me give you an example. Think about the process of building muscle. When you lift weights, what's actually happening? You're tearing the muscle fibers in your body. It sounds painful, right? But that's exactly how muscles grow. Those tiny tears heal and become stronger, able to lift more weight than before. That's how challenges work too. They stretch you, they push you, and sometimes they even tear you down. But in the process, they help you grow. Here's the catch, though. It's all about perspective. Two people can face the exact same challenge, and one will crumble while the other will rise. Why? Because it's not the challenge itself that determines the outcome. It's how you respond to it. For example, let's say you lose your job. That's a tough pill to swallow, no doubt about it. But how you frame that situation will make all the difference. You could see it as a disaster, a sign that you failed, and sink into despair. Or you could see it as an opportunity, a chance to reevaluate your goals, learn new skills, or even pursue a career you're truly passionate about. The challenge didn't change, your perspective did. This mindset shift takes practice. Every morning, remind yourself that life is unpredictable. There will be obstacles, there will be detours, but each one of those challenges is an opportunity to grow. It might not be obvious at first. In fact, it might feel downright unfair. But when you look back on your life, you'll realize that some of your toughest moments were the ones that shaped you the most. Think about a time when you faced a challenge and came out stronger on the other side. Maybe it was a breakup, a financial hardship, or a personal failure. At the time, it probably felt overwhelming. But now, looking back, you can see how that experience taught you something valuable. Whether it was resilience, patience, or the importance of setting boundaries. That's the gift hidden in every challenge. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine you're hiking up a mountain. The trail is steep, the rocks are slippery, and your legs are burning. It's tempting to turn back and take the easy path, but you keep going, one step at a time. When you finally reach the top, the view is breathtaking, and you realize that the struggle was worth it. In fact, the struggle made the view even sweeter. Life works the same way. The challenges you face might feel like mountains, but they're also opportunities to climb higher than you ever thought possible. And the view from the top, that's your growth, your strength, your resilience. Another thing to remember is that challenges teach you how to adapt. The world is constantly changing, and the ability to adapt is one of the most valuable skills you can have. Every time you face a challenge, you're learning how to think creatively, problem solve, and stay calm under pressure. These are skills that will serve you for the rest of your life. The universe will compare you to the version of yourself you were yesterday. It will not represent reality today, but a reflection of the past and the future. So the next time life throws a curveball your way, don't ask, why me? Instead ask, what can I learn from this? That simple question can transform the way you see challenges. It shifts your focus from feeling like a victim to taking control of your narrative. Remember this, diamonds are formed under pressure. Trees grow stronger when they face strong winds, and you too will grow stronger when you embrace challenges as opportunities in disguise. So every morning, remind yourself, life will test me, but every test is a chance to grow. I will face obstacles, but I will see them as stepping stones, not roadblocks. 8. I will embrace progress, not perfection. Let's talk about perfection. We all chase it, don't we? The perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect outcome. But here's the truth. Perfection is a myth. It's an illusion, something we'll never actually achieve. And the more time you spend chasing it, the more you hold yourself back. Think about it. How many times have you said, I'll start when the timing is right, or I'll take action when everything is in place? But here's the thing, the timing will never be perfect. There will always be uncertainty, obstacles, and things you don't know yet. Waiting for perfection is just an excuse to avoid taking action. Instead, what if you focused on progress? Progress isn't about getting everything right. It's about taking small, consistent steps every day. It's about showing up, even when it's messy, even when it's imperfect. Because those small steps add up over time. Let me ask you this: would you rather make a little progress every day or stay stuck waiting for the perfect moment? The answer is obvious, right? But in practice, it's easy to get caught up in the trap of perfectionism. Here's a way to break free. Remind yourself that done is better than perfect. Let's say you're working on a project, but you keep tweaking it, trying to make it flawless. Meanwhile, someone else finishes their project and puts it out into the world. It might not be perfect, but it's done and it's making an impact. While you're stuck trying to perfect your work, they're already moving forward. Perfectionism can also hold you back from taking risks. You're so afraid of making a mistake that you don't even try. But guess what? Mistakes are part of the process. They're how you learn, how you grow, and how you improve. Progress isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about learning from them and continuing to move forward. Think about a baby learning to walk. They don't wait until they have the perfect balance or the perfect technique. They take a step, they fall, and then they get back up and try again. Each time they fall, they learn something new, and eventually they're walking, running, and exploring the world. That's progress in action. Another thing to remember is that perfection is subjective. What looks perfect to one person might not look perfect to someone else. So why waste your energy trying to meet an impossible standard? Instead, focus on doing your best and making progress toward your goals. Here's an exercise you can try. At the end of each day, write down one thing you accomplished. It doesn't have to be big. It could be as simple as making a healthy meal, finishing a task at work, or spending quality time with a loved one. When you look back at those small wins, you'll realize how much progress you're making, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Progress is also about consistency. It's not about doing everything perfectly all the time. It's about showing up day after day and putting in the effort. Think of it like planting seeds. You don't see the results right away, but if you keep watering and nurturing those seeds, they'll eventually grow into something beautiful. And let's not forget, progress is empowering. When you focus on what you can do today instead of worrying about the end result, you build momentum. You start to see what's possible, and that motivates you to keep going. So every morning, remind yourself, I will embrace progress, not perfection. I will take small steps every day and trust that those steps will add up. I don't have to be perfect. I just have to keep moving forward, because at the end of the day, it's not about being perfect. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, one step at a time. 9. I am enough just as I am. Let's pause for a moment and get real about something most of us struggle with: self-worth. How often do you feel like you need to prove yourself? Like you need to check off a list of achievements, impress other people, or meet some invisible standard just to feel like you're enough? If you're honest with yourself, the answer might be too often. Here's the truth. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone, not to your boss, your family, your friends, or even yourself. Who you are right now, as you are in this moment, is enough. That doesn't mean you can't grow or improve. It means that your value doesn't depend on any of that. It's intrinsic. It's already there, no matter what. But let's be real. It's easy to say, I am enough, and much harder to actually believe it, right? Because everywhere you look, the world is telling you otherwise. Social media is full of highlight reels, showing you what everyone else is achieving, how amazing their lives look, and making you feel like you're falling behind. Society tells you to hustle harder, be more, achieve more. It's exhausting. That's why it's so important to start your day by reminding yourself, I am enough just as I am. This isn't about arrogance or thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about recognizing your own worth, independent of what you do or don't accomplish. Let's break this down. Where does this feeling of not enough even come from? For many of us, it starts in childhood. Maybe you grew up in an environment where love or praise felt conditional, where you had to get good grades, behave a certain way, or meet certain expectations to feel value. Over time, that can create a mindset where your worth feels tied to what you achieve or how you're perceived by others. The problem with this mindset is that it's a moving target. No matter how much you accomplish, it never feels like enough. You get the promotion, but now you feel like you need a bigger title. You hit a fitness goal, but now you feel like you need to look even better. You get the approval of one person, but now you're chasing the approval of someone else. It's a never-ending cycle. That's why the first step to breaking free is realizing that your worth doesn't come from external things. It doesn't come from your job title, your bank account, your appearance, or your achievements. It comes from within. It's about who you are at your core, the values you live by, the kindness you show, the way you treat others and yourself. Now let's talk about growth. Some people hear "I am enough" and think it means they don't need to grow or improve. But that's not what this is about. You can be enough and still strive to be better. The difference is that your growth comes from a place of self-love, not self-criticism. You're not improving because you feel like you're lacking. You're improving because you value yourself enough to want the best for yourself. Your life. Think about it this way. Imagine you have a child or someone you deeply care about. You love them as they are, right? But that doesn't mean you don't want to see them grow, learn, and reach their potential. You encourage them to be their best, but your love for them doesn't depend on whether they succeed or fail. That's the kind of relationship you need to have with yourself. So how do you start believing deep down that you're enough? One powerful way is through self-affirmation. Every morning, look in the mirror and say it out loud: "I am enough." At first, it might feel awkward or even untrue, but over time, repeating this affirmation can start to shift your mindset. Words are powerful. They can rewire the way you think about yourself. Another important step is letting go of comparison. Nothing steals your joy faster than comparing your life to someone else's. Social media can make this especially hard because it's designed to show you the best moments of other people's lives. But remember, you're comparing their highlight reel to your behind the scenes. Their success doesn't take away from yours. Your journey is your own, and it's enough. It's also helpful to practice gratitude. When you focus on what you have instead of what you lack, it's easier to see that you're enough. Take a moment each morning to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. It could be something big, like your health, or something small, like a good cup of coffee. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's already there. Another practice that can help is setting boundaries. Sometimes our feelings of not enough come from trying to please everyone else. We say yes to things we don't want to do, we overcommit, and we stretch ourselves too thin, all in an effort to be liked or valued. But when you start setting boundaries, you're sending a message to yourself that your time, energy, and well-being are important. You're affirming that you're enough, even if someone else doesn't approve of your choices. Finally, give yourself permission to rest. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness, where taking a break can feel like you're being lazy or unproductive. But rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. When you allow yourself to rest, you're acknowledging that you're enough, even when you're not doing anything. Here's the bottom line: you are enough, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Every morning, remind yourself of that. Say it out loud if you need to. Write it down. Make it a habit. The more you affirm your worth, the less you'll need external validation. And remember, this is a journey. There will be days when you doubt yourself, when the old feelings of not enough creep back in. That's okay. Just keep coming back to this simple truth: I am enough, just as I am. Because you are. When you start telling yourself these 9 things every morning, something incredible happens. You stop being a passenger in your own life. You stop letting the world dictate how you feel or what you do. Instead, you step into the driver's seat with clarity, confidence, and purpose. These aren't just affirmations, they're a roadmap to becoming the best version of yourself. Think about this for a second. How much better would your life be if you started every day with these 9 thoughts? Would you feel calmer, more focused, more in control? The answer is yes. Because the way you start your morning shapes your entire day. And when you shape your days, you shape your life. So take these lessons to heart and watch how everything starts to change. If you found this helpful, make sure to watch the next video so as not to miss the next.